Made with Spoken. Celestial Convergence Dragons of Vacari No. 3 by T.A. McEvoy. Digital narration, performed by multiple digital voices. The skies above Lyra'el darkened not with storm clouds, but with wings. Each beat thundered like war drums, rattling the crystal watchtowers and shaking blossoms loose from the high forest spires. A roar so vast it seemed to split the heavens rolled across the land, quaking even the deep-rooted sentinels. Shadow and abyssal dragons swept across the horizon, cruelly majestic, cloaked in roiling darkness. Their flight blotted out the morning light, and their cries split the air like jagged steel. Voraxia's form rippled through the sky like a living shadow, her silver-white eyes locked on the distant glow of the celestial sanctuary. Beside her, Vorothos surged with eager hunger, her scales glimmering like liquid void. Behind them came their kin, twisted cousins of the darker realms, bent on tearing down the radiant dragons who dared to defy the Dominion.
"They're here,"
Kimrus growled from a rocky overlook, golden scales igniting with the first light of dawn. His tail lashed once, claws gouging stone as his eyes fixed on the oncoming storm. Resolve burned in him like molten fire. Voraxia would not have Lyra'el.
"And they brought company."
"Then so have we,"
Amara answered, her voice like amethyst struck into melody. Her amethyst eyes narrowed, wings unfurling in radiant arcs of violet light. Ong tightened his grip on the saddle between her shoulders, his dragon lance gleaming like silver fire. A flicker of unease churned in his chest, not fear, but the heavy weight of what was coming. He drew a long breath, hardening it into resolve.
"Let's give them a proper welcome."
From their flanks, armored riders wheeled into formation, mounted on gleaming dragons of light. Each bore sigils of resistance, their spears and blades shimmering with elemental enchantments that sparked against the dawn. Below, in the sacred groves, Caelorn felt the tremor of the clash rising. His hand brushed the hilt at his side, his voice low.
"They're going to try to take out the Celestials."
Valion glanced up from the wards he was reinforcing, chalk and ink smudged across his hands. A crooked grin tugged his lips.
"Then they're going to find out we're not as fragile as we used to be."
Above, the first cries of battle split the heavens. Voratos dove with murderous glee, a streak of void slicing through the light, only to be met mid-air by a platinum dragon. Its rider launched a sun-forged spear into her shoulder, and the shriek she gave shattered branches far below. Smoke spiraled off her scales, but the platinum circled again, pressing the attack. Kimrus roared and surged forward, colliding with an obsidian brute whose claws screeched across his golden hide without piercing it. Their impact shook the skies like colliding storms. Ong leaned low as Amara wheeled through shadow flame, her violet fire arcing back in ribbons that split the dark haze. Below him, Voraxia darted between combatants, not seeking battle but prey. Her gaze slithered past platinum, past gold, seeking someone.
"She's hunting the Celestials,"
Ong muttered, eyes narrowing.
"Or worse, Keisha."
Amara's voice rippled through his mind, low and protective.
"Then we end this before she gets the chance."
And with a surge of wings and fury, they dove deeper into the fray. Far below, the winds of Lyra'el shifted not in temperature, but in something older. The resonance of war, of bonds forged and tested, swept through the trees. Keisha stirred, her heart pounding not in fear but in recognition. The bond flared a rush of Ong's determination, Amara's strength, Kimras's fury. It was the same blazing current she had felt the day they escaped the ruins together. She thought it was only the soul bond to Ong, but another chord struck the Celestial's presence. The heavens above were no longer still. Clutching the frame of the arched doorway, she stepped barefoot into the courtyard, cool stone meeting her skin.
"Keisha!"
Caelorn's voice rang as he rushed toward her, Valion close behind, flask in hand and panic in his eyes.
"You shouldn't be out here. You're still recovering."
"I know,"
she said quietly, eyes fixed on the burning skies.
"but I felt it."
The air vibrated with dragonfire and warding sigils. Shadows scythed across the sun, and her aura stirred in response.
I can't ride Kimraz yet,
She admitted, steady despite the pain tugging at her ribs.
but I will not hide. My magic may not scorch skies, but it protects, it heals, and I will use it to make sure Kimraz and the others come back.
Caelorn faltered, wanting to argue but unable to deny the light in her gaze. Valion gave a low whistle, his smirk edged with admiration.
Remind me never to doubt the Queen of Silver and Storms.
Keisha moved forward, pressing her hand over her heart. Silver radiance rose from her skin, her eladrin aura flaring like a shimmering wind that made the wards Valion carved glow brighter. Above the emerald canopy, the skies erupted. Celestial brilliance clashed with abyssal shadow, color and darkness colliding in thunderous waves. Varaxia twisted mid-air, obsidian wings slicing through sunlight, only to stagger as Amara's psionic wave cracked the heavens like a thunderclap. Invisible force rippled through the battlefield, dragons staggering in its wake. Voratos snarled, circling wide, abyssal runes glowing faintly across her scales.
Do you dare throw mind fire at us, jewel-spawned pretender?
Amara's eyes blazed like starlit amethysts.
I do more than dare.
Her voice rolled calmly and anciently.
You are not the first to threaten Lyra'el, and you will not be the last we bury.
Below her, Ong raised his dragon lance, his voice carried on the wind.
If you're looking for Keisha, my wife, she's not here. But I am. And you'll leave the celestial dragons alone. You're not welcome here, Varaxia.
Varaxia's laughter rolled like storm clouds. She coiled in mid-air, wings veiling the sky.
Bold words, for a human clinging to a borrowed perch. But no matter. We'll raise your skies all the same.
A crystalline resonance hummed through the battlefield, vibrating in bone and stone alike. Amara's voice rang across minds and air alike.
He is no passenger. He is my dragon rider, and you will learn what that bond means.
Varaxia sneered.
Not welcome? Oh, Ong, I wasn't asking.
Her eyes gleamed with cruel intent.
And as for your little Eladrin, I've drawn her blood before. Next time she won't rise again.
Rage surged through Ong, his grip whitening around the lance. Keisha's bloodied form, Pegasus circling helplessly. The memory of his absence, they all struck him like barbs. His bond with her flared, hot and fierce, braided through with Amara's power. Before he could respond, a roar like molten sunfire shattered the sky. Kimraz descended in a blaze, golden flame pouring like dawn itself unleashed. His voice boomed across the heavens, scorching shadow with sheer radiance.
Do not threaten my dragon rider!
Varaxia shrieked, banking hard, her wings seared by light that was more than fire. It was morning given form. Above them, Aurelius hovered, wings spread wide, his gaze a steady blaze of white fire. His voice rang across the battlefield like a tolling bell, calm yet unyielding.
You were warned, Varaxia. No hand will rise against the riders of the noble dragons. To strike at them is to bind yourself to your own ruin.
Voratus' snarl rumbled through the clouds.
Stern words, Celestial. Let us see how long your light can hold.
But even as she spoke, her wings pulled taut, hesitation coiling in her movements. The shadow host circled once, casting long silhouettes that scarred the forest. Then, with a final glare, they vanished into the darkening sky. Silence pressed in after the storm. Not a victory, not a defeat. The breath before the next strike.
They'll be back,
Ong murmured, lowering his lance only slightly.
And we'll be ready.
Amara answered, her tone a vow. From the courtyard, Keisha stood with bow in hand, her aura fading, but her eyes unyielding. Her spine straightened, a storm rising in her chest. Next time, she vowed silently, I will not stand still. And in the shadows left behind, the storm had already stirred. The shimmer of battle still clung to the skies, fading like the afterglow of a dying flame. Ash drifted on the breeze, carrying the tang of smoke, while dragons wheeled overhead, celestial and platinum alike, wingbeats echoing across Lyra'el's crystal towers. Though the skirmish was won, tension still pressed heavy over the city. Kimraz was the first to spot her.
There,
he rumbled, tilting his golden head toward the overlook. Ong followed his gaze. By the scorched stone where flames had licked the sky only moments ago, Keisha stood. Her red hair stirred in the wind, catching glimmers of light like embers that refused to fade. She held herself steady, but the strain showed in her shoulders. Ong's jaw clenched, a sharp breath escaping between his teeth.
She shouldn't be out here, not like this.
The memory of her crumpled body in the Pegasi fields flashed in his mind. He hadn't reached her in time then. He would not allow history to repeat itself. Amara gave a long, slow exhale as she glided downward, wings folding.
That girl,
She sighed.
is about to be fussed at.
Kimras's snort rumbled like a rockslide.
You think?
The three descended toward the city, wind curling around their wings. The battlefield below lay hushed, scorched but still. Ong dismounted before Amara's talons had even settled. His boots struck the stone with purpose, eyes locked on Keisha. Kimras landed beside him, golden scales gleaming, looming like a sentinel carved of molten sunlight. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was the silence before storms. Keisha turned as they approached. Despite her pallor, she managed to smile and lifted a hand in greeting. They descended upon her at once.
You shouldn't be here.
Ong snapped, voice tight with worry.
You are not healed. What were you thinking?
Kimras growled, his thunder shaking the air. Keisha blinked, caught between the two of them, her smile faltering into bemused disbelief. Affection flickered beneath her exasperation, though, because every sharp word was born of care. Amara landed gracefully, her amethyst wings scattering light, and lowered her head. Her eyes glimmered with restrained laughter.
One at a time, perhaps?
The pause lasted only a heartbeat. Then, as though answering a signal, Ong and Kimras launched back in alternating now, like a well-practiced duet.
You were supposed to be resting.
You could have been hurt again.
What if someone saw you?
You're not riding yet.
Keisha folded her arms, sighing. Part of her wanted to laugh outright, but another part felt warmed by the noise and the sheer force of their protectiveness. High above, Radiantus and Aurelius hovered near the spires, their deep, rumbling laughter rolling across the city like distant thunder. Kimras's golden eye fixed on her.
Take her back.
He commanded, his tail lashing.
And this time, set guards to keep her in her chamber until the Celestials themselves say she is fit to leave.
Ong was already striding forward. Before Keisha could protest, he scooped her into his arms.
Put me down!
She yelped, squirming. But the reluctant grin tugging at her lips betrayed the affection beneath her outrage. He carried her through Lyra'el's crystalline halls, ignoring her protests. At her chamber, he pushed the door open with his shoulder and set her gently but firmly back on the bed.
Stay, here.
Before she could argue again, he turned and called for the guards. 2 elven sentinels appeared within moments, taking their posts at the door. Keisha crossed her arms and muttered,
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
But warmth threaded through the annoyance, wrapping around her like a shield she hadn't known she needed. A golden eye appeared at the window. Kimras's draconic chuckle rumbled.
We heard that.
Keisha scowled at the window.
Not fair.
From the hall, Ong's voice joined the growl.
Do you want me to summon Lord Karanan to keep you in place?
Her eyes widened.
You wouldn't dare.
Try me,
he answered, perfectly calm. Before she could reply, another voice filled the chamber. Calm, resonant, impossible to ignore.
You two don't need to trouble yourselves. I am already here.
Keisha stiffened. Lord Karanan materialized in the doorway, robes shimmering with crystalline light. His presence stilled the very air. His gaze swept over her, then turned to Ong and Kimras.
I heard she was injured.
He said evenly.
And what has she done now?
Keisha flushed and looked away.
You didn't need to come, Father. I'm fine.
She refuses to stay put.
Kimras rumbled, unrepentant. Karanan's eyes narrowed slightly as he approached the bed.
Keisha.
She groaned and flopped back against the pillows.
Fine. I surrender. You all win.
At the doorway, Valion and Kalorn, who had wandered in during the commotion, burst into laughter. Keisha pouted, sinking deeper into the blankets.
It's not fair. How can I win against all of you?
As if rehearsed, the entire room answered in perfect unison.
You can't.
Laughter rolled through the chamber, warm as sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Keisha huffed, but the corners of her mouth betrayed her. Compared to the silence of her old wounds, this noisy, bossy storm of family was the best kind of chaos. Ong with his scowls, Kimras with his roars, her father with his quiet disapproval overbearing, yes, but all of it born of love. She wouldn't trade them for anything. Still, as she pulled the blanket up to her chin, she muttered,
Doesn't mean they're not bossy.
A muffled chuckle drifted through the door. Every one of them had heard her. The skies above Lyra'el shimmered like a dream spun from starlight. Silver and gold rippled across the clouds, waves of brilliance drifting slowly through an endless blue. The very air hummed, carrying the resonance of the realm's eternal song. Prince Gylon could only stare.
By the gods,
he whispered, the words stolen by the wind before they ever touched the ground. Beneath him, Aurelia glided with effortless grace, crystalline wings scattering rainbows that danced across the air. A low hum rose from her throat, pure and clear, like glass singing in the sun. Beside them, Verdantia carved through the heavens, her emerald wings gleaming like living blades. Thalorian sat tall against the wind, his jade fire gaze sharp though it never lingered. Too much beauty, too much wonder.
I have seen enchanted groves in the floating city of my kin,
he said at last, voice carrying softly.
But this is like flying inside a prayer.
It's more than that,
Gylon replied, his tone tightening.
It's a sanctuary, and even sanctuaries bleed, Thalorian.
The words brought back memories. He saw Crystal Vale again the day Aurelia's wing tore mid-flight, silver light pouring from the wound like shattered stars. He had felt every pulse of her pain burn through his own body, a torment shared. Yet she had flown on, roaring her defiance into the storm. That was the day he had learned how deep their bond truly ran, and how fragile even the brightest refuge became when shadow struck. The wonder faded from Thalorian's gaze, replaced by grim understanding.
You mean the attacks?
Gylon nodded, his eyes scanning the radiant plains below. Perfect on the surface, yet tense, bracing against a storm unseen.
I've heard the whispers, shadow dragons, abyssal kin at the borders. This isn't the Lyra'el I dreamed of as a child.
Radiantus and Aurelius have held firm,
Thalorian said, his palm resting against Verdantia's neck. The great emerald dragon rumbled low, a sound like thunder rolling through the heavens.
Light and crystal stand together. Every strike of shadow has been broken.
Even so,
Gylon murmured, steel flashing in his voice.
The name Abyssal Dominion should have died with its master.
Thalorian's jaw tightened, his voice edged with warning.
The world does not forget evil, even when it sleeps. The question is who has woken it and why now?
Gylon's answer came after a long silence, his gaze never leaving the radiant spires ahead.
I need to find Ong. He was here when the shadows came. If anyone knows how deep this runs, it's him. And Keisha.
His voice caught.
By the gods, after everything she endured, to hear that name again.
Aurelia's wings shifted, and the air itself seemed to sing with her, every feather shimmering like sunlight on water.
She is stronger than they know,
Aurelia whispered.
but even the strongest hearts ache in silence.
Thalorian's eyes flicked toward Gylon, sharp with unspoken meaning.
Do you think he has told her yet?
Gylon swallowed hard.
I don't know, but if he hasn't, he will, and when he does.
His gaze fixed on the glowing gates ahead, gleaming like a promise and a warning.
I'll be there.
The dragons banked together, their wings cutting arcs of light across the sky. The closer they drew to Lyra'el, the heavier the air became, not with heat or shadow, but with purpose. The sanctuary gleamed like a star in the morning, bracing itself for what was to come. And within those shining walls waited Ong, along with truths too long buried, truths that could shatter not only Lyra'el's fragile refuge, but the bonds that held them all together. Just as the radiant spires of Lyra'el broke through the clouds, gleaming like the bones of the stars themselves, the sky shuddered. A ripple, a fracture. Starlight bent as though the heavens themselves recoiled. Gylon's head snapped upward.
Above!
The answer was a shriek, high, hollow, ancient. Varaxia burst from the rift, her onyx scales devouring the light, until she became a wound in the sky. Wings of smoke unfurled like a shroud as she plummeted, jaws wide in predatory fury. A second roar followed, deeper and resonant enough to rattle the marrow in their bones. Vuarus tore through the clouds behind her, a storm of abyssal hunger. Crimson mist bled from the spines along her back, poisoning the air as she spiraled downward, claws gleaming like razors, eyes burning with hate.
Break formation!
Thalorian's command cracked across the wind. Verdantia wheeled sharply left, emerald wings flaring as she drew in a breath that rumbled like an oncoming tempest. A heartbeat later, she loosed it in a thunderous roar that split the air like shattering wood. Gylon stayed tight to Aurelia's back, his hand flying to the crystal bow. The weapon bloomed into his grasp, its prismed arc gleaming with starlight, the string humming beneath his fingers.
Not today,
he growled, drawing it taut. Varaxia shrieked, diving hard. Gylon loosed. The arrow screamed through the heavens, striking her wing joint in a burst of searing brilliance. The shadow dragon howled, twisting, but she did not fall.
She's fast,
he muttered through clenched teeth.
Then strike faster,
Thalorian replied, his jaw set like stone. Verdantia rolled beneath a torrent of abyssal flame, green fire flashing along her scales as Thalorian drove the arbor blade through the dark. Another spray of black fire raked across the sky. Aurelia surged upward, her wings flaring wide. Light exploded from her body in a radiant shield that wrapped Gylon in a cocoon of silver brilliance. For a heartbeat, the heavens froze, shadow and light clashing in mid-air, sparks raining down like meteors. And in that breathless instant, Gylon felt it, the sharp echo of memory. The day in Crystal Vale when Aurelia's wing had torn, spilling light like broken stars. The terror of nearly losing her. His pulse hammered. History could not be allowed to repeat itself. Far below, Kimras lifted his golden head from the cliffs of Lyra'el. His ancient eyes narrowed on the shadowed wings blotting out the sky. Even the air seemed to shrink from them. His roar split the heavens, shaking the crystal peaks.
Radiantus!
Kimras bellowed.
They've returned.
From the highest spire came an answering note deeper than thunder, ringing like 1,000 blades struck against an anvil of flame. Radiantus, the platinum dragon, surged skyward. His vast platinum wings unfurled like war banners, each scale burning with divine fire. His roar poured through the clouds like a hymn that made the shadows recoil. Kimras rose to meet him, gold and platinum cutting across the heavens together, twin titans, guardians reborn.
Hold them!
Radiantus thundered, his voice resounding like 1,000 bells.
We fly.
The sky erupted. Aurelia and Verdantia spiraled as one, crystal and emerald weaving a barrier of light and leaf. Gylon and Thalorian held fast on their backs, weapons flashing, outnumbered but unbroken.
Gylon!
Thalorian's voice carried over the storm as Verdantia banked hard from Varathos's snapping jaws.
I see her,
Gylon called. He drew the crystal bow. Light coalesced into a taut, glowing string, pulsing with his heartbeat. He pulled not with muscle alone, but with every fragment of will he possessed. Light. Radiance. Revelation. The arrow flared into being, no longer a mere shard but a burning spear of sunfire. He loosed. The air cracked. The shot slammed into Varaxia's chest. Her onyx scales split, shadow peeling from her body in molten ribbons. She screamed, staggering back, the night itself unraveling around her. Verdantia dove like a falling star, wings folding tight. Thalorian's arbor blade swept in a blazing emerald arc, its light burning away the venom streaming from Varathos's maw. Verdantia's growl rumbled like the deep roots of the earth.
They will regret waking the wilds.
Above the radiant gates, gold, platinum, crystal, and emerald flared against shadow and abyss. The battle had truly begun, and Lyra'el itself trembled on the edge of ruin. Radiantus loomed above, his voice rolling like thunder.
When will you learn?
He bellowed.
That Lyra'el is forbidden to your kind? To raise tooth or flame against a bonded rider of the noble dragons is to sign your own death.
Varaxia hissed, her onyx form faltering under his presence, but Varathos only pressed closer, tail lashing like iron. Then the air itself split. A third dragon burst from the rift, wings violet and aflame with amethyst light. Amara. Ong stood upon her back, the dragon lance raised, its gleaming tip catching the firelight like a spear of judgment. He said nothing. He didn't need to. The weight of his presence and Amara's might was enough. Varaxia wavered. Hemmed in by crystal, emerald, gold, and platinum, she bared her fangs in furious defiance. Shadows bled from her wings like ink unraveling in water.
We will return,
She hissed.
And we will be waiting.
Amara answered, her voice vast and deliberate, resonant with unshaken resolve. The black rift folded inward, swallowing shadow and abyss. In a rush of smoke, they were gone. Silence fell. Aurelia exhaled, crystalline wings flaring once before folding in.
Too close,
She murmured. Kimras growled low, his golden eyes still fixed on the empty sky.
Far too close.
Radiantus's gaze swept across the survivors before settling on Ong. His voice carried like tempered steel.
Well timed.
Ong lowered the dragon lance and stroked Amara's neck. She rumbled a satisfied chuff, dipping her head toward Gylon in brief acknowledgement.
She said the skies didn't feel right.
Ong said at last, his tone quiet but edged with certainty.
We followed her instincts.
Above, the spires of Lyra'el blazed once more as light bled back into the heavens. The realm's eternal song rose again, fragile but unbroken, and yet none of them truly relaxed. Not yet, because shadows that flee do not vanish. They wait. The shadows of Flameford never slept. Beneath the smouldering sky and the jagged ruins of what had once been Phoenix's stronghold, something ancient stirred. Varaxia landed first, her onyx wings folding with a hiss of displaced air. The ground beneath her blackened claws cracked, embers sparking where her tail coiled. Varatos followed, descending with a guttural growl, her spined form wreathed in the remnants of the crimson mist that still clung to her from battle. The air thickened with dread as the two dark dragons came to rest at the foot of the obsidian tower. From within, a voice spoke. No greetings, no warmth.
Enter.
The great doors groaned open at the command of unseen forces. Shadow flowed like liquid through the cracks, curling around their feet as they moved forward. Inside, the chamber was vast and dark, lit only by the faint pulse of runes carved into black stone. A figure sat upon a throne wrought from twisted steel and scorched bone. Cloaked in darkness, they radiated quiet power. The air vibrated subtly with it, a presence that needed no name, only obedience. Varaxia bowed her head, wings folding tightly.
The skies of Lyra'el were contested. Radiantus and Kimras joined the defense. Aurelia and Verdantia fought beside their riders.
Varatos added, voice rough as a landslide.
The amethyst came too, with Own upon her back. We were driven back.
A pause. The figure steepled their fingers, considering the words.
So, the ancient ones stir, the realms unite, and still Lyra'el breathes.
Neither dragon dared respond.
We have lingered too long,
the figure said softly.
The time for skirmishes is over.
The room fell colder.
You will gather every shadow dragon, every abyssal beast that yet draws breath. You will take them to Lyra'el.
The runes shivered, their glow deepening to a hungry red. Varathos's tail twitched, restrained violence coiling in her muscles. Even Varaxia's wings shuddered, bracing against the weight of what had just been declared.
You will bring them to Lyra'el.
The figure continued, voice rising with an echo that rang like a funeral bell.
And you will not return until the celestial realm is ash.
Varaxia lifted her head, silver-white eyes glittering with cruel hunger.
And the riders?
The figure's presence pressed down like a storm.
None shall remain. And the Eladrin girl, Keisha, you will see to her yourself. No chains, no bargaining. Her death will break more than walls.
The words fell into the chamber, heavy as doom. Shadows trembled across the obsidian carvings. Voratos's abyssal blue gaze narrowed, her voice a low growl.
You would risk the wrath of Radiantus. He has spoken threatened the noble riders, and we sign our own death.
The figure stilled. For a heartbeat, silence gripped the cavern. Then the shadows around the throne writhed violently, flaring like a storm of living smoke. The figure's voice tore through the chamber, no longer silken but raw, searing, unrestrained.
Do not dare speak to me of his warnings.
The obsidian walls groaned. The blood-red runes flared brighter, the air pressing heavy until even the twin sisters bowed low beneath its crushing weight. Varaxia hissed, wings trembling. Vorathos lowered her head, fury flickering beneath her unease. Then, as swiftly as it came, the fury ebbed. The shadows coiled back around the throne, pulsing like a heartbeat. The figure's voice returned to its cold, deliberate calm.
He will protect them. He always does. That is his weakness, and it will be his undoing.
Voraxia's lips curled into a predatory smile.
Then the skies will burn.
Voratos's growl rumbled deep in her chest, reluctant but bound by command.
It will be done.
The figure rose slightly, their form a ripple of shadow against the burning runes. Impossible and undeniable.
Go. Prepare the end.
The cavern thundered with wings. Ash spiraled from the ground as the dragons launched skyward, their departure shaking the stone and scattering sparks into the smouldering air. When silence at last returned, the figure remained unmoving on the throne. The chamber breathed around them, shadows curling like smoke across scorched stone. A single thought lingered, dark as the abyss itself.
Radiantus has returned. Our time is short.
The storm had reached its heart, and Lyra'el would burn.
Professional audiobooks in a click. Spoken.